All right, I think it's a good time to start. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this meetup from the San Francisco group. So we are super happy and excited to have everyone here. So today we will have a pretty cool topic that Paola presented some time ago, and I really got an eye on this topic. So I invited her to present here. So Paola, this is your time. So why don't
Thank
you
you.
start?
Thank you. So welcome to everyone to join to this meetup. My name is Paola Alcantar. Let me share my screen so we can start with the presentation. The topic that I want to can you see my screen? No, you can't.
Yeah, not yet.
Not yet. Um, can you see it now? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the topic that I want to talk. That is how to generate and implement a basic health monitoring for a Mule application. As Felipe mentioned, this was a topic that I present in another meetup. But this is really interesting for me, and this is from my perspective. There are many ways to generate and implement a health monitoring, but this is the way that I did. So I want to show my thoughts. This is the agenda that I want to cover, or that I pretend to cover today. We are going to see a little bit about me, what is health monitoring. Again, this is from my perspective. What is the importance of also implement health monitoring, the objectives that we have when we want to add health monitoring for our MuleSoft application, and all those points are based on Mule 4. And this one, the how to build a basic monitoring for a Mule application, is it's something that I want to do coding in live code right now. And also I have prepared a demo for a basic health monitoring. And then if you have any questions or concerns, you can ask me. And also, if you have any questions during the meeting, you can ask me without any issue. This is about me. Again, my name is Paola Alcantar. I'm from Mexico, but currently I'm living in Dallas. I'm part of the IT engineer team at Twitter. I have a MuleSoft certification for MuleSoft developer level 1 in Mule 4. I am also part of the MuleSoft mentors group, and I have around 1 year of experience as a MuleSoft developer. But before I was part of the team managed services in another company. So that's why I love to present the how to take care of our application, because this is really important. And also some fun facts about me. I am a cat lover. If you can see it, it's in the background when it's where is the tree. And also, I love to design my application using RAML. So let's get started with what is a health monitoring. And well, here, health monitoring is an application that we have built in order to check the status of many applications that are running. And also, we have to define, we have to there are two concepts that are working together. That is a health monitoring and also a health check. What's the differences between a health monitoring and what's the differences between an application health check? Well, a health monitoring will allow you to collect metrics from different aspects of your application. Depends on what aspects you want. Can be aspects really basic. For example, if an external system is up and running, or if your application is up and running, or a little bit deeper, what external system is not working, or the metrics about your server and more. And the health checks are checks that we do in regular basics, basis depending on the parameters that we define. And there are different between the teams because this is not something that we can define as true or false or black or white. There depends on what for your company, what for your organization, something is healthy. So there are the parameters that you have defined for healthiness in your application, and also the checks that you do in regular basis. For example, every day, every week, every 12 hours, depending on you. On it's up to you. And also, I want to cover here three points that for me they are important when we implement or health monitoring. Or what's the reason that implementing at health monitoring it's a good idea? It implementing health monitoring allow us to detect issues in an when before to be or before to have a really big impact, because if we detect issues before they affect our customers, we can prevent many things, bad things. Also, uh, it allow us to make plans in order to know what we need to do if something happens in an issue is rise. And also it allows us to well, to understand what's the behavior of our applications, what's the behavior of our servers, what is the behavior of our external applications that are connected to our integrations, and to resolve issues, checking some and addressing some issues. That's why this is really important. And here there are some objectives that we can check in a health monitoring, or some metrics that for me they are important to check. But as I mentioned before, this is up to you. As I mentioned here, this is not a single way to build a health monitoring. It depends on you. If you want just to check information about your application, you can get the application name, the version, here the Mule runtime version in which is running, the environment, and more information about your application. And this is important: application, memory information, thread information, and overall availability. There are the endpoints that I have defined for the demo that I want to show you in next slides. But it depends on you, depends on what you want to monitor. If you want to monitor the memory information about your GVM, if you want to monitor the thread information, or if you want just to monitor if an external system is working as expected or is not working as expected and it's provoking some issues in your applications. And for the endpoints that I have defined, I want to check, in this case, for example, for memory, I want to check the heap memory, the not heap memory, the garbage collection about the JVM, and return, for example, the number of threads that I'm using, and if a system is up and running. And here I have put some snippets that I am going to use in my library, my health monitoring library. This is really basic. This is for to get information about my application, and I've marked in another color. In this case, I mark in red in bold letter also app, Mule, server, and this correlation ID, because there are attributes that are predefined in Mule 4 in order to get certain information. In this case, app allow us to get information about the name of our application, also the start date that start running my application. Also, a server allow us to get information about the server which is running, and Mule allow us to get some certain information. In this case, I'm used it to get the Mule runtime version. And in the next slides, I have the uh, some classes, Java classes that I create in order to get the memory information, the garbage collection, and the thread information. And I am using the management factory class, Java class, that has an interface to get the memory garbage collection and threads using the MX bin. In this case, this is the snippet that I use in order to get memory information. And those are the methods that I am calling in order to receive this information. And here it's another snippet, and this is important, or I want to show you this information because probably you can figure it out how to build your own application, your own health monitoring application based on the snippets. Probably you want to retrieve different information, and also you want to retrieve in another format, but this can help you to figure it out how to do it. Here I am using the same Java class, but now I am using the interface garbage collector, same MX bin. And here I am getting the name, the collection count, and the collection time for the garbage collection of the JVM. And also I'm using another Java class with this interface to get the information about the threads. And I think it's important, and so I mark them in other color so you can see them easily. And in this part, I want to do the, well, until now, before I continue, until now, there are some questions. Uh, it's any thought, any question that you have, feel free to ask me. I cannot see the questions. Let me stop presenting.
But or I can help. So I see a question from Kishore. So the question is like, can you share these Java snippets in any repository?
Oh, yes, yes. Actually, at the end of the presentation, I have um, here some helpful things in which I have my repos that I am using for this presentation, the health monitoring library, and two basic applications that I built to test the library. And also we can share this presentation, I think, uh,
Yeah, plus
in the chat.
this and the session is being recorded, so we can take a look later on.
Okay, okay, sure.
Thanks, Paul.
So I was here building, this is uh, the building application, basic health monitoring application. And if you saw the slides before, there are some snippets and for endpoints, but in this case, I am just going to do one endpoint, that is the endpoint for application to retrieve information about the application. What I am doing this is because sometimes I running out of time, and I feel with a basic endpoint we can figure it out the next part of the health monitoring. And also there will be available the repositories in case you have any questions. So I define, if I'm not wrong here, 10 steps in order to generate a basic health monitoring library. As I said, I am going to walk through the steps, and let's, in this case, I'm just going to do the health application endpoint. I'm not going to present the other, how to do the others, but in the demo, we can see how they work. And well, I am going through and let's start. So here I have three projects, but I will show you later. Here I am going to create a new, new Mule project application. It's taking a little bit time, and here I am really bad with names. I don't have a lot of imagination to name my applications, but here I have some blogs with with names and some code that I'm going to using in the presentation. But if you have any questions, you can ask me. Here I am going to name my application as Library Health Monitoring Meetup, and this is the Mule runtime that I am going to use, doesn't matter. And I am going to download a RAML from Design Center that previously I create in Design Center. So here, let's import it. Let's wait a little bit. Okay, it takes a little longer. Hmm. Let's wait a little bit. Okay, so seems like I have my application created here. Automatically, the flows that I defined were created. I am going to delete the console because I am not going to use it. And here, this is the health application endpoint that I defined. If we go through the API, the RAML definition is really simple. I just have one get endpoint that I defined here, and we'll have a response, an application JSON response with this type. That if we go to the type, it looks like this. The API name, the API version, the endpoint, and all the information that I want to retrieve for my application. This was created on Design Center, so I just imported it. Next step, if we go back to the slides, here until now we create our application. I defined in RAML the steps and the flows. And next step is to update our POM with adding the configuration for a Mule plugin. What's the reason to do this? Because if we want to implement this library in other applications, we need to use it as a Mule plugin. We cannot use it as a Mule application like it is right now. So in case of this, I'm going to update the version because this is going to be the version of my library. And I want to have my library with a version 1.0.0. And here I'm going to open a new line on my org mule tool Mayville group, and I'm going to let's see, because I am using another configuration in my keyboard. So here I open a new line and I add a new tag, a new configuration tag, and inside of that tag I added the classifier Mule plugin. So that means this is going to be a Mule plugin. So let's save this and let's continue with the steps. So now I am going to save the changes. And here we have removed the console because we are not longer use it. And here there is our endpoint. I am going to remove this logger and I'm going to add a transfer message. And also here I'm going to put the snippet that I show you before in the slides about the application information that I want to retrieve. Here is the API name, the API version, the environment, and then more information. So this is enough for this endpoint. And now what I need to do, well, let's go back to the steps. Here we have updated also the POM. And then we have this define the response for our endpoint. Each endpoint, in this case, I just have one endpoint. I have generated the flows based on the RAML definition file. And next step that we are going to do is remove the auto-generated HTTP configuration and set the current one, the current configuration with one with this property. What I am doing this because in when I implement the library, I am going to use a property named health HTTP configuration to use the HTTP configuration for each project in which I am implementing the health monitoring library. So let's go back here and go to the configuration XML and let's remove this current configuration that was the auto-generated. And here, if you can see, there are this configuration. So we are going to update it with the property that I'm going to use. I'm sorry. And it will look this. So until now, we have just removed the current configuration of the HTTP listener and also updated this configuration for the HTTP listener, referring the HTTP listener for each application. Let's save the changes and go back here. So let's go back to the steps. Here, there are some notes if you want to check. And also here, this is the step that I did before in which I generate the data web script and I place the one that I showed you before in the slides. So now I think it's ready. It's ready to go. There are no more steps. In case you want to add more endpoints, you can do it depending of what do you want to get. But until now, this is ready to be installed. So what I'm going to do is I am going to run this ambient command in terminal to generate the Mule plugin, and then I am going to review if it was generated correctly on my M2 file in my M2 folder. Sorry. So let's go back here. To do it easily for me, I'm going to right click and properties, go to the folder here. If you see, I have other projects. So I'm going to open a terminal here and I'm going to run. The command. Let's wait and see if everything looks good. Okay, seems like everything went well, but let's see on. Um, if Here we have generated our health monitoring library with the version that I mentioned. If you decide to use another version, for example, or if you have a current health monitoring, if you want to update the version, you need to change the version in the POM. And also, as we change the configuration, here we can see that it's a Mule plugin. So this is ready to be tested in one basic application. And so let's go back to the slides. That this is the next process. Until now we have generated our library. Is there any question, any doubt that you want to check before we continue? No. Okay. So let's get started. The next step that is how to implement the health monitoring library in a Mule application. So again, I put some steps here, but I'm going to do it right now so you can see what I am doing. Here, there are some steps that are optional, but I mark them as optional. For example, this number 4. This is when you want to implement a. Oh, this is if you have like an external system that you want to check. But again, I am going to show you later on how to do it. First of all, let's go back to Anypoint Studio. Let me close this. And let's create another Mule project. And as I mentioned before, I'm really bad with names. So, so I have the name already here. And this is going to be just a hello world, a very basic application. And I don't have any endpoints predefined. And I am going to use the Mule server that is here. So let's get started with that. Here next is to generate the simple flows. Here, what I'm going to do is just choose an HTTP listener and also a transformation. And let's place a logger here. So next, I'm going to here add an HTTP listener. Really, this is the standard one that is predefined here. So I am going to use it, and I am going to use this path test because it's a test. And here I'm going to change the output for a JSON, and also and I change the computer. This is bad. But let's do this instead of. I'm sorry. Okay, so let's do it just a simple hello world. And that's it. I have my output that it's going to be an application JSON with a message of hello world. And here in the message, I'm going to put payload that message. And That's it. This is until now we have just created our basic application. It depends of if you want. Let's see. When I am getting an error, I'm just going to remove this. Okay. Okay, so until now we have just generated the basic application. That's all. But we haven't implemented anything about our Mule health monitoring application. So that's why we need to do other steps. So we are going to generate here in resources a file that I'm going to name config. Okay, this is in resources, and here what I am going to do is place some properties about my application, and here the properties are API version. I am going to use the API version 1, and the environment will be, let's say, prod, because we can put dev, stay in whatever it's the name of our environment. And here we have the same health HTTP configuration property that we are using in our library. But here, between the double quotes, we need to place the name of our HTTP configuration. So let's return to this XML and go to the part in which we defined the HTTP listener configuration. So let's copy the name of our HTTP and then place it here. And we have defined our configuration, but we need to define another XML that we are going to use to refer this configuration YAML. I think XML. And then going to configuration properties and configuration YAML. Okay. So we have defined the property here, and we have referred that configuration property in our configuration, but we haven't implemented the dependency on our the dependency on the POM for the library. So let's go to the POM XML, and then we go to. I'm going to change the API version. So this is just 100. And then let's go to the dependencies. And here I am going to open a new line and add the dependency for my Mule library, my Mule Health Monitoring library. So this is the name of the artifact ID, and this is the name of this is the version. And the three first tags, you can get it from the POM of your health monitoring library, and you need to keep in mind that you need to add the classifier as a Mule plugin. So here we have defined also we have implemented our library, we have generated, we have added the property for the HTTP configuration. And I think that's it. I think uh, I think that's it, but let me check. Oh, I am forgetting something really, really important. That's curious because in the other presentation it happened the same. So here we have defined the properties. We have we have added the dependency in the form. But what are the XMLs that we want to import from our library? So we need to do an import from the XMLs that we are going to use in our application. And for that, you can choose the global, you can choose the main, wherever you want to place it in the XML, and you need to add the imports. The imports for the XMLs from your MuleSoft library that you want to use. So in this case, I just have one XML, but if you have more than one XML that you want to use, you need to import it in the same way. So let's go to the global and let's open a new a new line here, and let's import. Let's do the import. The import uh, uh, here we have the file uh, that I want to use from my library. This case is the same name as I have here. Sorry, this is not the correct one. This is the library health monitoring library. And, and now I think that's all. I think. Let's see. Let's try this. I'm going to deploy this on Cloud Hub. There are many ways that you can deploy your applications, but I'm going to use this way. So I'm going to click on Anypoint Platform and deploy to Cloud Hub because of the time. But there are many other ways that you can do it. And here, this is the name of my application. I don't need any other information, so I'm going to deploy the application. Let's wait a little bit. Close window. Let's go back to Anypoint. So it start the deployment. It's deploying the application. Until now, there are some questions, some thoughts, concerns. Let's wait a little bit until it deploys to try our our library and see if I didn't miss anything. Okay, it is started. So let's go and see what's the implementation URL. Let me copy this one. And let's open a new tab, HTTP. I have some troubles with when I change from computers and with my keyboard. So let's try the endpoint first. And here the endpoint that of our normal application it's working. It's just a simple hello world. But now let's see if our library is working. The next is health and the name of the endpoint that is application. Oh, let's see. Oh, I'm sorry. I miss the health. Ah, I miss one part of the path, and I don't know if I define it. If not, we need to regenerate. Okay, yes. I I was I forget to add the API, the health, and the application that are the path for my health monitoring application. And this is the information that I am retrieving. The API version is hello world. Those are the properties that I defined, and I am using the Mule runtime that is defined here. And this is the information from the server. And this trace ID, it's the correlation ID auto-generated. So until now, there is some question, concern, or everything is clear now. It's until now to continue with the demo.
There's a question in the chat. So it says that it ping the backend system if the Mule app is connected to multiple backend systems.
Oh yes, this is it thinks the backend system. This is what I want to show in the demo, because until now the application is that we generated is a basic one with just one endpoint that is retrieving the information about the application. But there are other applications that I generate that are connected to an API that retrieves the information about the weather and also the information about the databases. This is optional because probably you don't want to get that information. So that's optional, and also the endpoints that you can define can be named differently. I don't have a well, it's complicated sometimes for me to name the endpoints, but you can name it differently and you can retrieve different information. It's up to you. This is just a simple sample. Is there any other question? So let's go to the demo. Here, as you can see, apart from the Hello World application, I have two others that are health monitoring and test weather API. This is the application, the test weather API, that it's connected to another application to retrieve the information about the weather. And until now, I am just retrieving the information about the Celsius degrees and how the sky it is. So I have some endpoints here, and here this is for the test for test the health the weather API. Here we have the zip code from Dallas and the country code. So if this is the behavior of my application, is returning the temperature in Celsius degrees and the description of the sky. It's just doing this. But if I click on the application, it will retrieve the same information that I present in the other Hello World application. The API name, the API version, and the runtime. But also, if you added the information about the server, you are going to collect information about the heap memory, the garbage collection, and thread information. But if also apart from that, you want to check your applications, external applications, I name it the endpoint third party, but uh, you can name it differently. You can get the information about your application, the basic one, the name. You can also change this format. And also here we have that there is a ping for the API, the external API, and it's retrieving if it's up, and or in case it's down, it will retrieve if it's down, and also the name of the flow. Uh, Later on after this, I'm going to explain what it's here retrieving the name, but it's doing this third party, it's pinging the external systems. And the general endpoint is the overall of the three endpoints above the application, the server, and the third party. This is like all the information that we retrieve in the other endpoints. And also I have another application that is the health test application. This is again really simple. It's like a hello world, but has another message instead of hello world. This is testing health monitoring library. Again, about application is showing the information about the application. Gen server is showing the information about the server in which is deployed. A third party, this in this case is interesting because I have multiple third party systems. For example, a database that is up, a database that is not, that has something wrong, and also it is connected to the other weather application that I show you that it's deploying on Cloud Hub, and it's showing me the status of the external system. In this case, the database that is up, it's because I put the correct credentials. In this case, the database that is in down status is because I am not using the correct username. So I am trying to connect using the wrong user, because this is to show you how it works. But also, if I go back here and I stop this application, the test health monitoring. Let's wait a little bit until it on deploy. And I retry this endpoint. The information that it will show is the same database is correctly working. The other one, we need to repair the wrong username, and this one is not up and running. So we need to see what is wrong with this application. In the error message, give us a message that can help us to figure it out what's happening with our application. This is the part of the third party endpoint, and I have another one that is the general, that has, as I mentioned before, the information of the three endpoints above. And here is the information, the same information. So for that question, let me close the projects. I have two XMLs, one for the main, another for the implementation. And here I am using a parallel for each that is checking the third party flows property. And if I go to my test health monitoring. In case of if everything goes well, it will show me the success message. If not, I am catching the error and I am checking what's wrong. So here in the test health monitoring, I have 3 subflows. That's the reason that it showed me the name of the subflow. I have the request for the API that I show you, the database that exists, and the database that doesn't exist. And here we are just doing a basic ping, or we are pinging the external systems, but we are on the configuration. Oh, sorry. We are using this third-party flow property in which I am a setting, or I am putting the name of the subflows that I want to check, separated by commas. And that's how it works to see if a system is up or if a system is down. This is the logic that I implement. I think there should be other ways, but this is the logic that I implement in this case. I don't know if that responds the question. And if you have also other questions or concerns, let's go. We are almost about to finish. This is the health monitoring endpoints that I am using. There are the helpful links, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me.
A question, and sorry, I will abuse the mic because it is long to type. So if I understood correctly, the fact that you have a plugin, so that means that simply adding the dependency in my other projects will expose the endpoints to do the health monitoring automatically. Is that right?
Yes, is that right?
Got it.
And well, I am going to put this slide, but if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. This is in case you have any questions after the meeting that come through your mind. This is my personal email. You can also find me on Twitter with this handle, and on LinkedIn. But feel free to ask any questions.
There's one more question from Juan. So how can we check the endpoints? Should there be a cron to check?
Oh, the endpoints.
Yes.
Let me check the question. Let me go back. Stop presenting and see the question. How can we check the endpoints? Should there be a cron? Oh, yeah, got it. Yeah, I got what's the question. Yes. Well, it depends on what you want to do. It depends on the technology that you want to use. Personally, I have used a similar health monitoring, uh, running a Python file, a Python program, and also then retrieve the information of the endpoints and creating sensu checks. But it depends on what you want to do this. If you want to do it with Mule or with another technology, it depends on also the time that you want, the things that you want to check. It's up to you.
Thanks, Paul. Are there any other questions? So in your experience, what are the typical metrics that you like to see from your health monitoring?
I think the metrics that I want to see depends on the business logic, but I think the ones that I show there are probably enough to start checking the behavior of the application, the server, the garbage collection, the threads. They are really important in case you have been s- uh, running with some issues. So I think it's enough to start, and then after that you can add more depending of what you see how it's going the process.
That is great. So, and do you see any difference between deploying this on Cloud Hub or on-prem? Would the behavior be different?
No, it's the same. Now the behavior is that we are getting the information from Cloud Hub, the the server information, but in case we are running this on a server, we are in an on-prem server, we are going to retrieve the information uh, from the on-prem server.
Got it. Thank you. Any other questions? No. If that is the case, I think we can wrap this up. Like, um, initially, I want to thank Paola because this is a great presentation, and I think it's going to be pretty useful for many groups and developers because you can get some extra insights from the Mule application. It is pretty neat that you put everything in a plugin so you can reuse across the applications. Uh, it was a great presentation. Thank you so much, Paola. And
Thank
also for the attendees, as a way to appreciate your time that you joined and you stayed for the meetup. So we will give away 3 certification vouchers. I think you can also exchange that for training or exams. I think it doesn't matter. So let me share my screen pretty quick. And I have this wheel. However, so I tried to put all the names during the session, but I think some people join after. So I in 15 seconds. So if you cannot see your name, just please let me know in the chat. I will check in a few seconds just to add your names. So there's equal opportunity for everyone.
Two? No.
All right, let me check. Tony, let me see. I think I added Tony. Oh, different Tony. Good, good. Let me see.
Heart? Hi.
All right, Arvind. There you go. I see Tony. I see Arvind. Anyone else? Lex.
Alistair.
So, is everyone ready? After we can see the winners, so please reach out and send me your email. I will reach out to Mule so we can share the voucher. So let's start with the first one. So the first voucher goes to that was close. Padma. So if you're still around, please share your email so I will share it with MuleSoft. Let's go for the second one. Let me do some drum roll. And the second winner is Vinayaga Perumal. There you go. And let's go for the third one. And the third voucher goes to... That's funny because Osvaldo was close for 2 times, but the winner is Sai. I'm taking my notes. So let me see. I will stop sharing. Thank you everyone for joining. It was a great presentation. Don't hesitate to reach out. And one more important thing, just please share the link when you receive the recording. Also reach out to Paola if you have any questions. So she shared the social media. Oh wait, I see something here. Give me a second.
Rosalina. Rosalina.
Okay. That's a good note. So Sai does not need the voucher. So I will spin the wheel again. Cool. Thanks, Sai. Shrikant. So there you go. Let me take my notes. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining. So also you will receive an email. So if you can provide some feedback, that's going to be great for us because we can improve. Also, if you have any comments, if you want to present in the next meetup, just reach out to the team. We will be more than happy to have you presenting any topics.
It's for Angel.
All right. Thank you, everyone. See you next time.
Bowser.